To get started, you want to arrange your cords in colour order on the board. So I've got the longest cords on the outside, and then the longest cords again in the centre. And then I've got the shortest cords here next to the outside cords, and then the contrast colour here in between the shortest cords and the longer cords in the centre. So to begin my pattern, I'm going to work with the 4 cords in the centre for my first row. So I want to take the 2 cords that are in the centre and clip those to the bottom of the board. And I'm going to take the contrast colour next to them, and I'm going to do a square knot over these. So I want to go over, over and through. And then I want to complete the square knot by going under, under and through. So for my second row, I'm going to split back into the 2 sections. So I'm going to put these 4 cords out of the way to begin with. And then I want to take the 2 cords that are now in the centre of these 4 cords, clip these to the bottom of the board, and then do a square knot over these. We'll go over, over and through. And again, to complete, I want to go under, and then under and through. And then I want to do a mirror image of this at the other side. So for the third row, I want to take the 2 cords that are in the centre and I want to add my first bead. So you want to take your bead and you want to add it to the 2 cords in the centre. So you want to thread on your first cord and then thread on the other one. And then to push your bead up into place. And then to do the rest of the row, you want to take the 3 cords that you haven't worked yet, clip the 2 on the outside, and then take the contrast colour that you're left with. You want to work over and pull through and ease the knot into place, and then under and pull through. And then you want to do a mirror of this at the other side with the 3 cords here that you haven't worked yet. So once you've done this, you want to repeat what you did for your second row. So you want to split your cords into 2 sections again, and work in one section, take the 2 cords that are in the centre, clip them to the bottom of the board, and then do a square knot. And then you want to do the same thing at the other side. And once you've done that, you want to repeat what you did for your first row. And you want to take 2 cords from the centre and clip them to the bottom of the board, and then taking the cords next to them, which should be the contrast colour, you want to do a square knot. And once you've done that, you want to keep repeating these rows all the way down until you've got the bracelet as long as you want it to be. So once you've got the bracelet as long as you want it, you can take 4 cords in the centre and clip them to the bottom of the board. And then with the remaining 2 at either side, just do a couple of square knots to fasten everything off. And once you're happy that everything's nice and secure, you can remove the clip from the bottom of the board, and then you just want to trim and seal these ends here. So I'm using a lighter to seal, but you could use glue if you prefer. So once you've trimmed and sealed, you should be left with 4 tail ends, which you can split into 3 sections and then braid together just to make your braided tie-on end. And you have to do this at both ends. And once you've braided your tie-on as long as you want it, you can just take all your cords and tie a knot in the end to keep everything in place. And once again, you can trim and seal any excess. And once you're finished, you should end up with something that looks like this. So at each end you've got a braided tie-on to tie on your bracelet. Alternately, if you wanted to start from a loop, you would just do 2 braided tie-ons at one end. And that is your completed macrame bracelet.